They came from all over New England to compete for one goal, one hope. Almost 300 men and women chasing a dream, a trip to Las Vegas, and a chance to play against the world's best poker players on the game's biggest stage. Now, only 8 remain with the skill, patience, and luck to make it to the televised final table. Only one player will win the opportunity of a lifetime to represent Eastern Poker Tour in the World Series of Poker's main event.
Welcome to the second season of the Eastern Poker Tour Tournament of Champions. I'm your host, Bernard Lee, and once again alongside poker veteran Spiro Mitrakostas.
Well, thank you, Bernard. It's a pleasure to be back with you again, my friend.
Well, thank you, Spiro, and of course, thank all of you for watching last season's EPT Tournament of Champions, where we had amateurs from all over New England vying for the top prize. In the end, Johnston, Rhode Island native Greg Spirito took home the seat to the World Series of Poker's main event.
Go to Vegas.
We are back here in Westport, Massachusetts for this season's final table of the EPT Tournament of Champions. Now, Spiro, you had a chance to speak to all the players before the final table. What do you expect today?
They're relative amateurs, so they're going to have to calm their nerves if they want to win that seat to the World Series of Poker main event.
Well, thanks, Spiro. As a reminder, the Eastern Poker Tour is a series of free entry tournaments held throughout New England. The winner of each event has received a free seat into today's Tournament of Champions. Almost 300 players started the event, and after 2 full days and 20 hours of intense play, we are now down to our final 8 players. These players are all vying for the ultimate poker prize, a seat into the World Series of Poker's main event.
I'm happy, we're all happy.
Let's see how all of these players feel about this opportunity of a lifetime.
If I were to win a seat to the World Series main event,
It would just be like a dream come true, and then if I could win some money to be able to take care of my family, that would be the most enjoyable thing.
I think it'd mean a lot to me just for the fact that it's something I'd really, really like to do.
To play in the World Series main event would be huge.
to be at a table with any number of the pros and see how you can do against them is every poker player's dream.
I would actually hope to sit with the pros, just for the experience of saying, I knocked one of them out.
It's nice to measure your game against your friends and local bar patrons, but the World Series is where it's at.
It would mean everything because I can't buy into it, so this is my one big shot.
It would mean I got extremely lucky against a lot of really good poker players, and I've got a really, really, really slim shot of making something happen in Vegas. That's what it would mean.
If I was to win the main event,
I have no idea.
Well, my occupation won't be pipe fitter anymore.
God, you know what? I can't even let myself think that far in advance.
I think it'd be a made-for-TV movie. I played for a $10 buffet with the Eastern Poker Tour, and now I'm playing for $6-7 million.
Without a question, the World Series of Poker's main event is truly the ultimate poker experience. As we head into the final table, let's see where all 8 players stand in their chips. Well, I think the players are ready to get going. Let's get down to the action. Well, the action has started with the blinds at 15,000 and 30,000. And the action has folded all the way around to Scott Tremblay from Massachusetts, nicknamed Big Daddy. Ron, also from Massachusetts, is going to fold, and Andre, who is sitting on the button, will fold as well.
Just me and you, huh?
15 men.
And a lot of players are very, very nervous at their first televised final event. We have right now blind versus blind action as Mike has called with 7-6 suited connectors. And Heidi has checked her option. We are going to have the first flop of the final table.
And they both get a little piece of the flop there.
Check.
Both of them play passively and check the flop, and onto the turn with the king of spades.
35.
Good aggressive bet by Mike here.
Well, Mike has taken this pot down, beating Heidi, who was playing the hand a little passively. The only woman at the final table may have played this hand passively, but she is not afraid to play against the big boys. In fact, she knocked out her husband en route to the final table. So let's see what she has to say about playing against the guys here at the Eastern Poker Tour.
When I knocked out my husband, I had ace-10 in my hands. I flopped a pair of aces. He flopped a pair of queens. I tried to shake my head, tell him not to go in. I ended up rivering a straight and felt terrible. That's poker. No love in poker.
Well, let's get back down to the action. A few hands later, blinds are still 15,000 and 30,000, and now Heidi is under the gun holding Jack 10.
Helen.
I'm a little surprised that she moved all in here with just a jack high, but since she did choose to raise, she had no other alternative but to go all in.
Well, with less than 6 times the big blind, she really didn't have much of a choice. The real decision was, could she have potentially have done this earlier? Under the gun, she has so many players behind her to act. But let's see if this move pays off and she's able to pick up the small and big blind.
Everybody's folded around. Ron, the button is folded.
Andre is contemplating here. I'm not really sure why he's contemplating. He only has Jack 2 offsuit. He has 140,000 more to call. He does have some chips, but I really think this is a foolish even thought of trying to make this play.
I think it's called a grandstand play.
He does fold.
They have to be beauties.
Mike's got to look down. He's already kiddingly said that it's got to be beauties. I'm not sure if King Jack or beauties.
140 more. Is that right?
Well, he's got 380,000. It's going to cost him 140 more to call. It's less than half a stack, but it's a very dangerous hand. Usually a King Jack is a hand that's duplicated by an Ace Jack or an Ace King.
If Heidi has Ace Jack, King Queen, Ace King, any of those hands would have him completely dominated. And to put in about 40% of his stack here, this is a very, very difficult decision. I would personally probably fold here.
Kind of wish you called. You got me off the hook.
Mike, a 32-year-old history teacher from Rhode Island, qualified through the Brickyard Bar and Grill. He's been playing poker for 2 years and probably one of the biggest decisions of his young poker career.
They're still the same. They didn't get any worse.
Little nervous smile there from Heidi.
I wonder if he picked up on that to kind of see that potential tell. It definitely wasn't a confident smile.
Oh, and I'm wrong again. He did call.
Well, he calls for 140,000 more. This is a big pot to start off the final table. After Mike flips over his cards, Heidi is not happy.
I did this for you, Gary.
She's just said that she's done it for her husband, Gary, and let's see if it pays off. She's about a 70-30 underdog here, having her Jack dominated.
Hey, good luck.
And both players showing class and wishing each other good luck.
The flop comes out 9 of spades, Queen of clubs, 2 of hearts.
I would not like to catch a pair, please.
He doesn't really have to worry about pairing both of his cards. It's really only getting the king, which would give Heidi the straight.
One time.
And there is no straight for Heidi, and she is the first player eliminated at the final table today.
She looks a little stunned. I think she going into the final 2 tables was one of the chip leaders, and I really think she had high hopes. Well, unfortunately for the only woman left standing, Heidi, she has been eliminated, leaving 7 players left fighting for the World Series of Poker's main event seat here on the Eastern Poker Tour's Tournament of Champions.
Visit EasternPokerTour.com to see how you can be at the next final table.
Welcome back to the Eastern Poker Tour's Tournament of Champions. You know, Spiro, a lot of players keep good luck charms with them at the final table. Stan Harding keeps a picture of his late brother and also late cousin close to him as he's playing here at the Eastern Poker Tour Tournament of Champions.
Johnny and Johnny, right here. Yeah, I keep a picture of my brother Johnny and my cousin Johnny, who both passed away, and I keep them as good luck charms. And you know, I feel like they bring me luck, and they'd be proud of me if they were watching me play today. See my cousin and my brother helping. See that? Here's the picture. I look down them almost every hand, and sometimes if I'm not getting cards, I'll take them and rub them on the cards, and it's been working. I've survived a few all-ins today.
Let's get back down to the action where the blinds have increased to 20,000 and 40,000. With Andre under the gun, Andre decides to call the bet with ace-9 offsuit.
I'm not a big fan of calling under the gun with a bad ace.
I agree with you. If he's going to make the bet and play it, I think he should raise at the very least to be somewhat aggressive.
Agreed.
I think the real big problem with calling the bet there also is that if it does fold around, now the blinds have an opportunity to come in very cheaply. Of course, the big blind just has to check his option.
And that's exactly what happened here.
Well, a very interesting flop, 9-7-5, giving Andre top pair, but giving both blinds straight draws.
50,000.
And after the Scott and Ron both check, Andre bets a measly 50,000 into the pot, which I think is a very small bet, as we have a partially coordinated board there.
Scott has called the bet, and now Ron is looking at potentially calling as well with middle pair and a gut shot straight draw.
A lot of players might have check raised in Scott's situation with the open-ended straight.
Absolutely, and I think Ron has a perfect opportunity as well, as Andre has made the 50,000 bet. Scott has called it. He could have executed a very nice squeeze play here, but he decides to call, making the pot about 270,000, and we are now off to the important turn card, which brings the 4 of diamonds.
No help for anybody.
A potential other scare card, though, with another diamond, a potential diamond flush draw. Nothing is there, but it could have scared some other player.
Well, after both the blinds check, I anticipate Andre to make a large bet here.
100.
Well, Andre's only made a 100,000 chip bet into a 270,000 pot. This could entice one of those other players, especially Scott, who has a lot of chips, to potentially call the bet. However, Scott has folded.
And Ron folds, and Andre takes it down. That was quite an intriguing hand there, Bernard.
A lot of potentials, a lot of possibilities, but Andre does take the pot down for about 390,000. Well, the action at the beginning of the final table has definitely been cautious. Let's see who assumes control of this final table here at the Eastern Poker Tour's Tournament of Champions. Action is over to Scott from Lowell, Massachusetts. He is under the gun and contemplating a raise here, it looks like. We can see here with our pocket cameras that he is holding Jack of clubs and Jack of hearts.
Raise.
He is going to raise here to about 110,000, a little under 3 times the big blind. After Ron from Bellingham, Massachusetts folds, it is up to Andre. Andre, who took a nice pot down on the last hand, has built his stack up and has a very, very interesting dilemma here with King, Queen of clubs.
This is a very dangerous hand. A lot of times when you call with these hands, you're duplicated. But let's see what Andre does. He does call.
Well, this is a very, very critical decision for Andre here, as he's called off about 20 to 25% of his stack on a king-queen.
Crowd's on their feet. The ones that are awake.
As people have kiddingly said, the crowd who is left here, it is very, very late here, as we've been playing late into the morning. The crowd is anticipating a flop as 2 people have made a raise and then a call.
Probably going to call this on TV a great laid out.
Well, unsure what Dan is talking about here. It's holding 6 of hearts and 2 of spades. I'm not really sure what else you would do, but correctly makes the fold, and we're off to the flop.
And it's an excellent flop for Andre as he hits the top pair here.
Scott, I would think, is probably going to have to make a continuation bet here.
I definitely would, so he can see what position he's at.
160.
Well, Scott just bet 160,000 into a pot of 280,000.
Yep.
I like his bet here.
This is, again, a very, very critical hand for both players, as this is a good amount of Scott's chip stack. Andre, to make the call, will put in over half of his remaining stack.
I wouldn't be surprised if he pushed all in here.
Raise.
Where Andre has decided to raise.
Another 100.
Which is not enough. He's got to raise at least the amount of the bet, which is another 160,000.
Right, so he has declared a $100,000 raise, which is you must raise at least double. So he must raise to 320,000. The dealer has notified him of that.
160 to call. In that case, no, you can only make 160.
Well, then he decided he wanted to try and go all in, but the dealer stopped him quickly.
And correctly. Yes. Once you declare that, that's all it is. He can't now make what would be called a string raise here. So Andre has now made the bet. If anything, it's even a little bit more intimidating right now that he's made that raise.
Yes, let's see if Scott picks up on this and makes the correct laydown.
Scott's going to have a very, very difficult decision, but I think it would be the correct decision right here to lay it down. Unfortunately, with the overcard, he is in very, very bad shape here.
Well, if he does lay it down, he'll still be left with 425,000 in chips, so...
Not in the shape he was in to start the final table with almost double that, but definitely still enough room to play and come back.
Yes, and be a force, absolutely. He openly shows his jacks. Let's see if Andre shows the queen. No, he doesn't. He breathes a sigh of relief like he bluffed.
Without a question, this last hand was a critical hand. Scott lost considerable amount of chips to Andre, and once was the chip leader, has now fallen down to the middle of the pack. Andre, now winning 2 huge hands, has now assumed the role of chip leader. Let's now get back down to the action at the final table.
I still admire the way Scott played that hand. He made a nice raise pre-flop, he made a nice continuation bet, and then he realized he was beaten, and he threw his jacks away. Well done, Scott.
Raise.
Andre raises with an ace-queen.
80 more.
Pretty hand.
120 total.
Andre has really taken control of this final table as he is closing in on 1,000,000 chips. Mike is looking at his cards and going to fold them.
I'm all in.
Stan Harding has decided to push all in, holding his pocket tens.
Need to know the count.
He has been very, very quiet at this final table. The 54-year-old postal worker from Quincy, Massachusetts is now risking his tournament on his pocket tens.
Pushes it all.
Oh, he had no choice there. Pair of tens, nice pair. He's relatively low stacked. So automatic call for Andre, I believe.
Andre's got to call about 120,000 more with his big stack. This probably is a pretty relatively quick call.
I'm actually surprised it's taking him so long to call here. He's getting 3.5 to 1.
I bet Stan believes that he really has the best hand here if Andre's taking this long.
Good call. Wow. You get a kick out of this one.
Split that one before, didn't you, with him?
Yeah.
Well, Stan's a little nervous here as he stands up.
As you could see them kiddingly saying it,
Ace, queen,
before
tens.
Stan had an ace-queen going into it. He takes a picture of his late brother and cousin and touches it to his pocket tens, trying to give it good luck as he goes off to this race. Ace-queen versus pocket tens.
Good flop there for Stan, as his tens are still holding up.
None of the suits for Andre really count here, so he really has to hit either that ace or queen with the 5 of spades on the turn.
That also makes a possible straight where they could chop. Oh, no. He got a queen.
Unfortunately, Stan's group thought that he survived. Unfortunately, he has been eliminated on a real heartbreak here.
Well, he showed class. He shook everybody's hand like a gentleman, and we wish him the best.
Unfortunately, Stan from Quincy, Massachusetts has now been eliminated on the Eastern Poker Tour's Tournament of Champions.
Visit EasternPokerTour.com to see how you can be at the next final table. Welcome back to the Eastern Poker Tour Tournament of Champions.
We are down to our final 6, and let's get back down to the action. Blinds are still 20 and 40,000 with Scott under the gun.
The Scott calls with a 10-6 of clubs. Can't think of too many positive things to say about that play right there. And there goes Ron all in for 225,000 next act with an ace-9. Can't blame the man.
Well, Scott has played very solidly all the day. Maybe he just got a little bit impatient as things have not gone his way. Unfortunately, wrong time for that to happen as Ron has pushed all in.
Well, the action moves over to Paul, who folds, and now Dan is asking how much it is to call, and of course he's going to call with his ace-king.
And Ron is not looking too confident here, holding ace with not a very good kicker.
Oh, you can see the pain in Ron's face.
Scott quickly folds his 10-6 suited.
All right, gentlemen.
And Ron is going to unfortunately see the bad news that he is way, way behind.
He's wished good luck.
He will definitely need it.
Yes, he's a 2-1 underdog here.
Here comes the flop. Pretty harmless flop here of 7 deuce 5. Keeps Dan firmly in the lead. Oh, another heartbreak.
It's happened again, Bernard.
9 on the turn gives Ron the outright lead, and unfortunately Dan cannot catch up with a 10 on the river.
You know, Dan gives him the sarcastic good hand.
225 on top.
Well, this hand is giving Ron right back into the tournament. Almost 600,000, 590,000 chips are now going his way. And without a question, that puts a big dent in Dan's stack. Unfortunately, Dan lost about a third of his stack on that hand when Ron hit that miracle 9 on the turn. Ron is now back in the ball game with about 590,000 chips. Let's get back down to the action. Blinds are still 20,000 and 40,000, with the action folded around to Ron on the button. He's holding ace-4 of clubs and has decided to call from the button.
I don't mind that play sometimes.
I think it's a little surprising. He's got an ace, he's on the button, and really could have taken the pot down. As the small blind folds, Andre, Mike in the big blind decides just to check. And the flop definitely makes it interesting. Ace, 10, 7. Ron and Mike have both hit part of the flop.
Well, Mike probably feels good with second pair, figuring that Ron doesn't have an ace because he didn't raise before the flop. And so he bets 40,000.
Well, Mike has bet 40,000. He initially bet 35, but of course he has to make it 40,000, the amount of the big blind. That's the minimum bet.
And Ron raises to 230,000, way over betting the pot.
This is a very, very healthy bet. I think Ron, who has had previous main event experience, he's played in the World Poker Tour's main event at Foxwoods back in 2005, might be utilizing some of that experience here with a nice check raise to take down potentially some big chips.
It's a healthy raise.
And Mike himself saying it, healthy raise. I think the red flag is going up.
What do you have behind it?
220.
Is that 220?
However, the one thing I do like right now is I like that Mike is asking Ron questions and really gauging if Ron is confident. I look at him looking at Ron. He's not looking at his chips. He's asking the question how much he has behind. I really like this. Ron is looking almost too confident here in this situation. I think Mike here makes an excellent laydown by gathering all of the potential information that he did, by asking all the right questions, and then based on this information, makes the laydown. Well done.
Yes, when he sees the replay, he'll be proud of himself.
Well, we're into the final table. 2 players have been eliminated, and we've said goodbye to Heidi and Stan. When we come back next time, we'll see which one of these 6 players will take control of the final table and head off to Las Vegas.
Tune in next week to see the remaining players at the final table battle it out for the ultimate prize, a trip to Las Vegas and a seat at the World Series of Poker's main event. They are one step closer to winning millions.